1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Daman Zaman. The headlines. Addressing a convention of the Tiger Force in Islamabad today, the Prime Minister asked the National Accountability Bureau and the courts to bring mega corruption cases to a logical conclusion at the earliest. The Foreign Office spokesperson has rejected the unwarranted and tendentious comments of the Indian External Affairs Minister, blaming Pakistan for the current state of bilateral relations. The Special Assistant on National Security has said India's expansionist designs are posing a threat to peace in the region. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the Indian troops in their fresh act of state terrorism martyred a Kashmiri youth in Islamabad, Anantnag district today. In New Zealand, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern's Labour Party has won a landslide victory in the general elections. In the first semi-final of the National T20 Cup at Rawalpindi, the Northern team has set a victory target of 161 runs for the Southern Punjab team. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan has asked the National Accountability Bureau and the courts to bring mega corruption cases to a logical conclusion at the earliest. Addressing a convention of the Tiger Force in Islamabad today, he said the people of this country want to see the recovery of the plundered money. The Prime Minister assured that the government is ready to extend any kind of logistic support to the courts and the anti-graft body. Referring to the top leadership of the opposition parties, the Prime Minister said they have looted the country over the last 30 years, but their cases have yet not been decided. He said the courts and the National Accountability Bureau are independent institutions, but he will further strengthen the institutions that are under his direct control to nab these corrupt elements. The Prime Minister said it will be his effort from now onwards to bring back Mohammad Nawaz Sharif home, and he will be kept in an ordinary prison. Expressing his strong resentment over the language used by Nawaz Sharif against the Army Chief and the Director General ISI, the Prime Minister termed it an attack on the armed forces. The Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Shibli Faraz, says the opposition party staged a failed public show in Gujranwala last night despite making month-long preparations. He was addressing media persons along with the Minister for Science and Technology, Fawad Chaudhry, in Islamabad today. The Minister for Information said the opposition parties could not fill the stadium in Gujranwala because the people rejected them for being well aware of their vested interests. He said the opposition has no future plans and they only want to protect their personal interests. Shibli Faraz said there was also no unity among the opposition alliance, as Maulana Fazlur Rahman was asked to address when the people had left the venue. He said the opposition leaders, particularly Bilawal Bhutto Zardari and Khwaja Muhammad Asif, used indecent and inappropriate language in their speeches. The minister said some opposition leaders spoke the language of the enemy and targeted the national institutions in their speeches, which will not be allowed. The Minister for Aviation, Ghulam Sarwar Khan, has said the entire nation stands by the national institutions and salutes the security forces for rendering unprecedented sacrifices for the protection of the homeland. Addressing a news conference in Rawalpindi today, he said the opposition is trying to destabilize the country and working on the agenda of the enemies of Pakistan. Pakistan Railways has started online booking for freight trains and also restored the old schedule of passenger trains from today. Talking to newsmen in Lahore today, the Railways Minister Sheikh Rashid Ahmed said the technical allowance of 31,000 workers and the mileage allowance of drivers has been increased. He said the Prime Minister has assured to pay the dues of all the pension holders very soon. Pakistan has rejected the unwarranted and tendentious comments of the Indian External Affairs Minister, blaming Pakistan for the current state of bilateral relations. The Foreign Office spokesperson Chaudhry Zahid Hafiz, in a statement today, responding to media queries, said the statement reflects on its own egregious behavior marked by illegal and unilateral actions in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and gross and systematic violations of human rights against the innocent Kashmiris. The spokesperson said portrayal of innocent Kashmiri youth, women, and children martyred in fake encounters and cordon and search operations as terrorists is a travesty and reflective of the moral bankruptcy of the Indian leadership. At least 6 people were killed after they drowned in an underground water tank at a factory in the site area of Karachi today. According to rescuers, the incident took place near Norris Chaurangi when the workers entered the tank to take a bath. This is Radio Pakistan. The Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on National Security, Moeed Yusuf, says India's expansionist designs are posing threat to peace in the region. Talking to media persons in Lahore today, he said Pakistan has been making endeavours for peace and stability in the region, and Pakistan's efforts for peace are well acknowledged. The Special Assistant said the human rights situation in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir has turned worse, especially after India's 5th August last year's illegal step. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the Indian troops in their fresh act of state terrorism martyred one more Kashmiri youth in Islamabad, Anantnag district today. According to Kashmir Media Service, the youth was killed during a cordon and search operation in Larnu area of the district. The killing triggered anti-India protests in the area. The troops used brute force on the protesters. The All Parties Hurriyat Conference, in a statement in Srinagar, reiterated the Kashmiri people's resolve to continue to resist the Indian anti-Kashmir measures. It called for observing 27th of October as Black Day to reject India's illegal occupation over Jammu and Kashmir. Meanwhile, an analytical report released by the Kashmir Media Service today said the Indian Army was hypocritically trying to hide its cruel face behind the facade of so-called goodwill operations in the territory. At the United Nations, Pakistan has called for scaling up collective solutions to advance sustainable development. Pakistan's permanent representative to the world body in New York, Munir Akram, while addressing a virtual event in connection with the World Food Day, said only by working together we can get back on track to realize the sustainable development goals. He said promoting a robust multilateral response guided by global solidarity remains at the core of our response to the current pandemic. Ambassador Munir Akram said we need to invest in sustainable agriculture-related infrastructure to ensure market access for remote and small-scale farmers in the developing countries. Azerbaijan and Armenia have accused each other of fresh attacks in violation of a week-long Russian-brokered truce. Baku said 13 civilians were killed and more than 50 wounded in the city of Gania by an Armenian missile attack, while Yerevan accused Azerbaijan of continued shelling. In New Zealand, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has won a landslide victory in the country's general elections. With most ballots tallied, Ms. Ardern's centre-left Labour Party has won 49% of the vote, and she is projected to win a rare outright parliamentary majority. The opposition centre-right National Party, currently on 27%, has admitted defeat in today's polling. In Thailand, thousands of pro-democracy protesters massed in multiple locations across Bangkok today. They are demanding the resignation of the Prime Minister and reforms of the kingdom's powerful monarchy. Cricket. In today's first semi-final match of the National T20 Cup being played at Rawalpindi, North team has set a victory target of 161 runs for Southern Punjab team. And finally, the weather. Mainly dry weather is likely to prevail in most parts of the country during the next 24 hours. However, rain thunderstorm is expected at a few places in Gilgit-Baltistan and Kashmir. And that is the end of this news bulletin. For more news and analyses, log on to our website radio.gov.pk, and you can also watch the live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.